Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeffrey Honneus, and I am the author of The Great Christian Conspiracy. The Great Christian Conspiracy derives its name from the policy of the Church of Rome, declaring that in order to get to heaven, all Christians must make confessions to the priests and bishops, and that, according to the Church Fathers, was the only way to get to heaven. Furthermore, the early Christian Church Fathers declared that any person having scriptures not accepted by the Church of Rome should be known as a heretic, a crime which was punishable by death. This declaration turned the Church against its own brother Christians just because they did not adhere to the Church Fathers' style of Christianity. It even became worse than that, because the male-dominated Church Fathers did not accept Mary Magdalene as anyone of importance in the founding of the Christian Church, even though she was as close to Jesus as any one of his disciples. The disciples even complained, saying to Jesus, "Why is that woman with us?" And Jesus simply answered them, "I see no woman with us." Jesus did not see distinction between a man or a woman when it came to those who loved his Father in heaven. The real depth of the conspiracy of the church was dramatically revealed in 1945 when two brothers were digging for garden soil on a hillside near a cliff outside the village of Nag Hammadi in Egypt. Suddenly they found a large, sealed earthenware vessel. In it, they found Coptic Christian writings on papyrus, a paper made of reeds found alongside the Nile River. It seems that there was a Coptic Christian monastery near Nag Hammadi during the early days of the church, and the scribes who copied these scriptures from earlier texts did not want to see them lost to time. In the discovery were 13 bound books which contained 46 different texts. Of these, 10 were in fragments. So 36 of these scriptures that were discovered were previously unknown. Most of these are from the 2nd or 3rd century. All were originally written in Greek, the language of the learned scribes, before being translated into Coptic. Among them was the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the secret book of John, the secret book of James, John's brother, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Revelation of Peter, the letter of Peter to Philip, the Acts of Peter, and the Gospel of Judas, to mention only a few. What is interesting to note is that Jesus chose Peter as the cornerstone of the church, the founder. Yet not one of his books are included in the Holy Bible that were chosen by the church, possibly because the church fathers decided that Jesus was a man who died as a man and did not become a spirit until after his ascension to heaven. Many of the early Gnostic Gospels, including Peter's, foretold of stories of Jesus appearing at times to his disciples in a spirit body, and at other times interacting with his disciples in a physical body. Whatever the reason is, these most revealing and faith-inspiring scriptures were not accepted by the church as relevant to their beliefs. Thank God for the monks of the nearby monastery who treasured the scriptures they buried more than the risk they took to their own lives. The saving of these early Christian writings has enlivened the hearts of Christians worldwide and has restored Jesus to life by revealing stories of his miracles and teachings rediscovered in the 20th century and appreciated by all devoted Christians today in the 21st century. If you believe in Jesus, or would like to believe in Jesus, reading The Great Christian Conspiracy is surely one way of feeling close to the greatest man to walk the earth in over 2,000 years. The man who led his followers from uncertainty to faith in God, from darkness to light, the light of the Son of God. After reading this book, Do as the early Gnostic Christians did. Seek insight into your own self. Seek God with your heart of feeling. And if you sincerely pray to Jesus or God, you will be rewarded. If you had faith, taught Jesus, you could move mountains. That is a very dynamic challenge. You must have that kind of faith in yourself. As a matter of fact, this book closes with a very dynamic ending. It's called The Lady of the Rosary and the Vatican banking scandal. It sheds light on the truth that from the time you were born, your life is already written. Great prophets, and even Jesus, have foretold the future hundreds of years before it came to pass. What has happened, what will happen, and what is about to happen has been determined by God for the evolution of man's suffering on earth beyond our ability to reason why. If we did not suffer, we would not seek out God. Knowledge of good is possible because of knowledge of evil. The prophecies of Daniel in the Old Testament of the Holy Bible foretold the coming of Alexander the Great 200 years before it happened. And in our current era, during World War I, 3 young peasant children in Portugal experienced a modern-day miracle witnessed by 70,000 people from the Lady of the Rosary. It foretold of terrible events to come because of man's sins to his fellow man. In a more dramatic way than you could imagine, what is happening today in the world is meant to be. Unfortunately, happiness cannot be understood or appreciated without misery. Who the Antichrist is will amaze you, and I am sure you will agree. You will never regret reading this book. Farewell, and may God be with you, my brothers and sisters.